Hello everyone, this is Beat No Logic again, coming at you with another video, and yeah, let me just get my smoke going here and we'll get started. But yeah, and I don't know what's going on right now. Maybe it's because it's so dark outside, but it's darker here than normal, so you can barely see me, but it's fine. And I'm also using the old phone, if you will, so it's not super clear or anything, because this front facing camera is okay, but it's not the clearest, but let me just light my smoke. And because yeah, I have let me see, I don't know if I move backwards here that's going to improve it, but hopefully it will. Yeah, slightly, ever so slightly, but hang on, this is just messy. And a loose strand of tobacco there too, as I was saying in my previous show, how when you smoke them hand-rolled cigarettes, it's something you have to deal with, and you can't be prissy about that. But because I'm gonna do the 100 subscribers video later on, and again, I'm not even wearing my headphones right now. I forgot about it because there's too much stuff going on in my mind right now, and there's so many things I want to say, but I find that if I were to do that, people would they wouldn't get it, and they would just be angry, and I don't know. It's like I've been trying for the longest time, and it's not working, and but like I said, I'm going to do the 100 subscribers milestone video eventually, but it's just I got to find the time to do it as well. And this is just me doing like a preliminary thing for that, because there is something I wanted to talk about. But like I said, it's funny how someone and their actions have limited me in my freedom of speech, basically, and also someone else's behavior just recently added to that. So let me just say it real clear and loud and clear for you guys. We're not free. We're not free at all. In fact, we are slaves. And the only thing we can hope for is that we die before we realize that we are slaves. But if you're awoke, you are a slave. And this thing I'm holding in my hand right now is a very good symbol of that, because we're so addicted to our fucking devices too. So, I'm addicted to this too. Another, let me see just real quick. Okay, so that removes the lens flare. So that would be, if I could cover that some way, but then it would be even darker, so I don't know. Because it's definitely a whole other ball game shooting in the landscape mode, or whatever they call it, But the point I'm making, there's so many things I would like to say, things I have hinted at in other shows, and trying to get you guys on board, so to speak. But it seems like a lot of you are not getting it. And the gist of that, the stuff I'm talking about, is how the little shit matters. And I've said it numerous occasions already, how your actions, words, attitude, everything plays into it, Everything decides how I'm going to react and how I'm going to do according to those things. And the thing I wanted, like, I'll mention it just briefly so you'll know what I'm referring to, but it's like, when I was thinking about doing that 100 subscribers show, I wanted to do like a slash title, where the other half of that title would be beating a dead horse, because it feels like that's what I'm doing. I'm beat. Yeah, I get it. I beat myself up. I beat others up verbally when they talk out of their ass, because, you know, they talk without using logic. So, but then there's another side to that logic as well. It's not only about the obvious things that people say which are not thought out or something. It's even when people don't realize we're all in this fucking ship together. And I know it's the sinking ship. You know, I had a woman in my life, not like that, not like a partner or anything, but I was living my first house in this city. When I was going to school here in this city, I was living with an older woman who had been my caretaker as a child, you know, a nanny, if you will. And I don't know if she was like that all the time. I don't know, because there was a lot of crazy things about her too. I'm not saying that. But she had one expression that I stuck in my mind, and later on when I got into music and stuff, you know, I mean, I was already into music, but certain things, certain songs that had suddenly a deeper impact after hearing her phrase, you know, and she called it the sinking ship. And that's what we're in. We're in this fucking sinking ship, and nobody seems to even raise an eyebrow about it. So, and I know this for a fact. I've known for years that this is a sinking ship. But what I'm saying, and what I've been saying for like all my videos, in some way or another, I've touched on this subject. Like, how you treat your fellow man is going to impact on their life, how they react to you, like how they move on from that. So people say to me, oh, I had someone say that to me, like, you're responsible for your own happiness in a way. And yes, in a way you are, but I'm saying we shouldn't be alone in this. We really shouldn't, because we're one family, one species. But then there's got to be someone out there who's got to act stupid, say something stupid, or be just an asshole. And then don't realize by doing so, they're limiting the next man's freedom of speech, freedom of movement, crumbling ideas for them, you know, and their very drive to keep trying. Because beating a dead horse, or in the words of Pink Floyd, as they said it, banging your heart against some mad bugger's wall, it's not easy, and some stagger and fall. But I've been trying for the longest time, and if you can't wake up to that fact now, and like I said, I'm not going to ruin that show by covering all the bases in this one, but I'm saying beating a dead horse is hard sometimes, and being on the sinking ship is the same thing. It's not an easy thing. It's not an easy situation to be in, but you can make a difference. And the thing is now, like I said, I'm trying my best not to ruin the 100 subscribers milestone show. But what I'm saying is, not only have I reached 100 subscribers now, and then some, but the consequence of that, if you will, is the fact that now I actually have more subscribers from outside of Soto Nation than from within Soto Nation, so to speak. Because my core group from Soto Nation, that was like, at least back then, my group, my people, my beatniks, that was initially 16 people. And then it kept humming along nice and slow and moved up to 30 and 30 something. And then I was stalling at just below 40, because right there, you know, I don't remember how many people left, but I said something in one video that upset some people, you know, because you touch on the truth. And certain people, they're like, oh, fuck. And they run like little fucking roaches. So, because love hurts, omega hurts. And if you know what omega is, that it's good for you, that it means you've been around long enough that you know what I'm talking about without me having to spell it for you. But it also means you say something that's truthful and it hurts them because it applies to them as well. And I've never excluded myself from that. Never. But when you say something like that, for some weird reason, people, they get offended and they get in their feelings, because they know I'm including myself, but I'm also pointing at you, because that's one of the things I do in my life. Like, I include myself all the time, but I'm also saying, just because I'm a piece of shit, I'm not allowed to point at another piece of shit? Really? That doesn't make sense. It's not logical. So I'm going to keep doing that until, if I have to, like I said before, if I have to die to prove a point, that's what I'm going to do. Now, what are you going to do? Like the famous movie, The Untouchables. The guy is dying, he's littered with bullets, and he says to the other guy, Kevin Costner's character, this was Sean Connery's character in Untouchables. He says, what are you prepared to do? Because I know what I'm going to do. But as I've said several times, this is not only about me. This is bigger than me, bigger than you, bigger than us combined, So it does matter what we do with that. And like I said, I've made my choice. I've always had a... Hang on. I always had a conscious choice what I did when I was out and about and, dealing with people the way I do. Because I know who I am. But I'm a leader more than a follower too. So I'm not going to say, oh, yes, that's nice. And I've seen some people do this. I'm not going to mention any names even. But I've seen some people do this. They flatter people, other people to get some clout with them, get some pull with them. Just to get like a foot in the door, so to speak. I don't do that. I'm not here to win no fucking popularity contests. But I'm no saint either. I'm not a perfect human being in any way. Like, if I turn the camera around, you could see what a fuck up I am in the world's eyes, in society's eyes. Because they could walk right in through my door and they could do whatever, say whatever, and I couldn't fight them verbally even. Because on paper, they're right. But it doesn't mean I'm what they say I am or how I am or, let's say the word crazy. If that was the case, they came and said, oh, this guy is crazy. Yeah, why am I crazy? Because I say something you don't like? Really? But like I said, every time you touch on the truth, they run like little fucking roaches. And they attack you. Sometimes. But yeah. That's why I call this title, I've Got Something to Say. Because I'm tired of trying without any sort of feedback. It's one or two people that say something, and every once in a while, that one or two people who says something, it's not even something good. And I've told you time and time again, if you can't say anything good, don't say anything at all. That's even better, Don't say anything. Just keep doing what you're doing. But the other side of that is also, I can't keep beating a dead horse. I can't keep trying if you're just like, la-di-da-di-da. That doesn't work. I'm sorry. And if this offends you, you're welcome to leave. Because I don't need to waste my time, and I don't want you to waste your time either. But if you're real, and if you know what's going on, and if you care a smidgen, then stick around. But I'm saying, we're all in this sinking ship together, and maybe we can't survive the disaster. Maybe if God came right now, none of us would measure up. Maybe that's the case. But me, I'm the kind of person I'm saying, okay, if I don't measure up, that's fine. Because in the eyes of God, we're all guilty. you know. So if we get, I told my mother this too, if we get something that in our view, or at least in her view, that was something negative, to me I said to her, no, don't think of it as something negative, just think about it as something we're supposed to have. And so, but I'm tired of people creating a situation and then the other person or persons react to that situation, and then they complain after, oh, nothing is happening and blah, 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 you know. It's this, that, and the other. They have every kind of complaint in the book, but they didn't make a difference in actually contributing in the other way, because there's a choice involved. So my question is, where do we go from here, you know? And I was talking to someone recently, and I'm not going to even tell you who I was talking to, because I've already seen what happened with that too. But I'm saying, I was telling that person, I'm not going to leave YouTube, but I'm thinking about leaving Hangouts. I can tell you that much. Because, like I said, I'm tired of pissing in the wind. I'm tired of being the one voice of reason in a world that's insane. But yet, I'm the one that everyone points at and says, I'm the crazy one. Yeah, okay, fine. I'll take that as a compliment, you know. It's like that phrase from what are they called? Sash, Mysterious Times, the song Mysterious Times. Real, nothing is real. In a world of illusion, you only see what you feel. And I'm feeling some kind of way right now. I do. Because you have the power to make a difference, and you choose not to. Then I have to say something about it, because otherwise my name means nothing. My existence means nothing. But I'm really, I don't know even what to call it, but I'm desperate here, guys. Save me, you know. And for this, like Braveheart, you know, in the movie. For God's sake, or however he said it, I don't remember now exactly how he phrased it, but he said like something like, for the love of God or for the sake of God, save yourself. Because that's what I'm talking about here. We might not win in the world terms, you know. We might not end up a winner in that sense. We might lose anyway, but if we try at least while we're here, we might win the bigger prize, you know. But it's like people, they don't understand. You can tell them 6 ways from here to Sunday, you know, how this is solved, if you will, you know, the answer to the riddle. How do you fix it? But it doesn't mean that I can tell you these things, and it doesn't mean it's going to help me in any way. My life is what it is, you know. But if I can make a difference, that's what I'm going to try and do. And that's what I've always done. And that's why I'm talking to you in this way. But as I was saying before, now it has a bigger impact too. Not only because there's more people, but mainly, as I said before, because my majority of people is now no longer just Soto Nation people. Because like I said, my core group was 16 people, and yeah, some people came from other places, you know. But it kept growing slightly ever so much here and there. But then, like I said, I branched out on 2 different occasions. And I didn't even try to I wasn't asking for subs or anything like that, or sub for sub even, or anything like that. Like one of the places, yes, it was a bit like that. But I even addressed that in one of my videos, because I actually don't believe that works if you only do it like that. There has to be a networking, a real networking mechanism behind it, you know. And what that means in real life terms, it means if you just sub to someone and they sub to you and that's the end of it, then you're not going to grow from that. But if you actually get subscribers that actually watch your stuff and listen to what you're saying and tell their friends about it because it makes sense to them and they like the content, that's a different story. That's actual networking. Well, what I'm saying is, forget about that part even just now for a little bit, because I'm talking even about the smallest fucking thing. Saying hi to someone. Or when you're saying something, not just saying whatever comes into your mind for whatever reason, but actually thinking about your words, because they do matter. And yeah, I'll give you a perfect example of that. I was just on the phone with my mother a little while ago. And she has always said to me, let me know if you're broke, right? Well, I'm running out of tobacco. So, what that means... Sorry about the shaky camera because I had to fix my sweater a little bit, but... She has always said this to me. Let me know if you're broke, if you need any money. We're not talking about $1,000 or $2,000 or $5,000. No, we're talking about a couple of hundred, in my currency, which probably wouldn't amount to too much in terms of dollars, but it is what it is. But now I'm coming to that point because I told her, I'm like, I have to buy a tobacco this coming week, and there's still one more week within that week before I get my new money. So if I buy the tobacco, which I have to, because I'm almost out, then if I'm missing something, because I have everything I need right now, that's not even the problem. But if I run out of something, I don't have the money in my account to dig in and get those essential supplies, like bread, butter, and milk, those kind of things. Or even right now, I have a good situation with toilet paper, so I don't think I'm going to need toilet paper. But let's say I only had 2-3 rolls of toilet paper and I had bought the tobacco already. Yeah, toilet paper isn't that expensive. I probably technically could afford it, but if we're talking about like a loaf of bread, that's $40 in my currency. Not $40 US, but 40 kroner. I don't know how much that is in dollars, but it's about let's say $5, $4 or $5, for a loaf of bread. And so if I don't have that, because I need to pay my insurance too, that's a problem. So I said to her, hey, I'm broke. I need to buy tobacco this week, and there's still a week from today, there's still a week until I get my new money come in, and there's no way that the tobacco I have now is going to last a week. It might last a couple of days, but that's it. Of course, that depends on how much time I have to smoke as well, because despite what anyone might tell you, let me tell you the other side of things, because they'll always say, if you don't have a job, you have time on your hands, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it might look like that on paper, but in reality, that's not the case. I'm telling you, ever since, I don't know, I wouldn't say maybe 16, but I've been living alone since I was 16. So I know life on my own, like how to manage things, and it's been a very rocky road for me, a very roller coaster kind of life. It's been very much ups and downs, and I also deal with depression. And sometimes I don't even know if I can call it depression, because sometimes it's just some little thing that happens and you start thinking about certain things and you just go in hibernation, and you have to just do that. You just have to take that step back and, think about these things and try to figure them out. Where do you go from here? And that's my question about this. Where do I go from here? Because on the one hand, I've reached a goal. It wasn't a goal that I set out from the beginning, but eventually, when I started moving closer, I was like, if I can do that, then I would have, I could have said that I've done something, you know. So it's not a big thing for if you compare to those other people who have 10,000 or 20 or 50 or even, you know, even 1 million subscribers. I'm not talking about that. I'm not gunning for that even, because as I've said numerous times, I'll rather have a small group of people that follow me, that knows what I'm about and that cares what I'm about, even if it's only one single person. I would rather have that than 100 people or 200. And don't get me wrong, don't be offended by the way I phrase it now, but what I'm saying is I'll rather have even a single person that's there for the right reason than 1 million of them who's just sub to me. You understand what I'm saying? Like, who actually watches my content and gets something from it, you know. But when it comes to Hangouts, I've been saying it for the longest time, Hangouts is dying. And yeah, I'm partly to blame too. I don't exclude myself from that context. But I'm saying, I always keep trying. I always keep trying to do something. But now last time I pretty much backed off for an entire month. But the difference is, of course, this time it's not because of something happened. I mean, yes, there was something that happened fairly recently, and basically someone threatened me. I don't know if that was just them threatening me in general, or is it someone I know? I don't know, because, you know, that's the thing about the internet. They can hide behind their name, but me, even though it's dark here, this is the exception to the rule. You always see my face. I haven't told you, like, I mean, I have told some of you, you know, and now I even feel like that's a waste too, because some of you actually know my name. Some very few of you. But there's even a couple out there who know my full name. And it's like I said to one of those people, it's like I come full circle now, because I paid it forward. I have. And then some. And I have received some very kind words along the way too, from some people. But at the same time, some of those people are completely silent now. Why is that? I understand age plays into it as well. If you have a few years, you know, you're not going to be as energetic or whatever, you know. I know that. But like I said to that one person a while back, thank you for making a difference, because it takes so little. But the other one that said, don't put it on other people, why shouldn't I? Because that's the truth. We are one species. We are one family. Don't tell me to treat it otherwise, because that's what I'm always going to do. It's like, I can't remember what movie that's from, but I think it might be Titanic, where Jack says to Rose, you jump, I jump, or something like that. It means you fall, I fall. And it's like, that's how it should be. That's not how it is, but it's how it should be. But anyway, give me just a few seconds. Let me restart this and put them together after. Be right back. And we're back. That's how I see the world and how I view the world. Because as I've said, back when Beatniks was jumping, you know, I want us all. And think about that word for 2 seconds, you know, all. I want us all to get to Etanim in a good way. All of us. Humanity. And I know there are some good people out there. I'm not saying there isn't. But I'm saying if you're not putting your best effort out there to know that you can make a difference in another person's life, for good or bad, then maybe you need to leave. And it's the same for me. Maybe I need to leave if I'm not getting through. Maybe I need to leave Hangouts because, like I said, I can't keep carrying all that weight by myself. It's a group effort. That's what I'm saying. But it's like, I know, don't get me wrong, I know we're living in a world now where it's every man for himself. I know that. And like I said, in the end, in the eyes of the world at least, and in the eyes of society, the measurements that we use to define these things, maybe we won't come out as winners in the end here on Earth, but I'm telling you the price that we might win beyond this world is so much greater. So I'm asking you, let me know, because I'm lost. I'm so lost now with that. Because I can cause a scene, I can start removing people if I wanted to. But it's not my decision. That's the very point of this video. It's not my decision. It's a joint effort. It's a group effort. It's a group decision. Where do we go from here? And I've noticed, like, don't get me wrong, I have noticed some people who has made other choices in the past are now making other choices now. Good choices, if you will. So don't think I haven't noticed that too. And I salute those who have. I really do. I really salute them. Because it means they are waking up to the bigger picture. And as I've said before even, it's not about if you believe in God or not. Or the devil for that matter. Because both of them believe in you. Like I said, I had a neighbor here. Have a neighbor here. He recently told me he's a Satanist. And he was trying to use that in the same way as an atheist would use the fact that they're an atheist. And I said, but hey, you're forgetting something. Even the devil believes in God. That left him speechless. You got to think about these things. And that's my problem. I think too much. I care too much. But I can't show you guys. I can't prove it to you. It is what it is. If you get it, that's great. If you don't, I can't help you. But I got to start taking better care of myself. And one of those things is getting my life back on track. To a certain degree at least. So I can have some kind of life. Because my life isn't much anyway. But it has to improve even from where I am right now. And so, I'm asking you. Not so much my subscribers on YouTube. Because I really appreciate that. Those people that's come in the past month or 2 or 3 or whatever it is, I appreciate every one of them. But I sincerely also hope that they actually watch my content and see what I'm talking about. Because if they get it, that's the only hope we have for a real change. Because like I said, I don't think we're going to win in the end. And I remember distinctly when a certain someone asked a trick question once. And everyone was saying, oh, we have the chance. Meaning we have the chance to actually turn it around. And then when they went on to explain the how can you say, the unsaid part of the question, that's why I say it was a trick question, because they opened mine as well as the other people there at the time eyes to the fact that, yeah, if we stood up, even in terms of a I don't want to call it military action, but like a protest, in some kind of way. Rejection of submission, if you will. Even when we did that, they can still win. That was the thing that this person was getting at, and it was mind-blowing when they laid it out, How is that the truth? Or let me rephrase that. How that is the truth. Like, why? Because that person was actually being absolutely logical, correct, and truthful. But the problem with that person, as I've told a couple of people, is the fact that they excluded themselves from that context. They made a very good case, but they acted like they was excluded from that equation, I think. Yeah, that was exactly what I knew was going to happen. I knew that I was going to have an almost burn to get that last drag, but whatever. I'll survive. It's ironic and fitting, isn't it? But yeah, I know there's probably someone out there who's going to see this as a hate video or a negative video or something along those lines, but I don't care because I know the truth. As I said to some of the people there that I was at the time, I'm making my last stand now. And if you can't get with that, then all I can do is pray for you. And that's a figure of speech because I don't pray much anymore even. I talk to God though, but I don't pray as much anymore. But yeah, my fortune telling days are over, so I'm not gonna give you any tidbits, but like I said in one of my latest 2 videos, shows, whatever you call it, my fortune telling days are over, but I have received some signs and I don't know what they mean yet. But if you forget about that, even as a person, I'm the kind of person to how can I say? As I said it before, how if I have to die to prove a point, then so be it. If that's the thing that's going to make you get it, it's worthwhile. My life is not for me. It's for all of you and for God. So, if I'm able to keep that sentiment within me even in the worst of times, that's the question though. That's the big, big question. We don't know until we get that point. And I hope and I pray that we don't get to see this in our lifetime. I hope that's not the case. But as I said in another one of my videos, imagine when people my age, 40 plus, and then, like quite, I wouldn't say substantially, but, not like you just crossed over 40, but I mean, when you're actually moving towards 50. My sister, basically, that's what I'm saying, because my sister, I'm the youngest, and my sister is almost 50. She's 47, 48, something like that. And I'm 43, and then we have my brother who's in between us, age-wise. And it's bad enough when my generation, because that's why I used my brother and my sister as an example, because we're in that age bracket. It's bad enough when our parents, who now are at a grandparent age kind of thing, but we don't have kids, like none of me or my brother or my sister have kids yet. And my sister is so old, it might be a lost cause for her, But me and my brother, he has a wife who's slightly younger, so there's still technically the chance there, but they're getting older too. And the same with me, unless I find a young wife, so to speak, someone that's younger than 40 anyway, there's still a chance. But we don't have kids as of now. So, but what I'm getting at is how I mentioned in that video, and it's called Our Parents Are Dying. And it means not only are they our parents, that's one thing, they're our parents, so it's bad that you're facing the loss of your parents. But they're also now at grandparent age, 60s, 70s, that sort of thing. And my mother, she's acting like she's going to live forever, and she's not even fully there anymore. Like the other day, we were talking on the phone, and she didn't even remember the fact that my aunt, a wonderful woman, died in the 80s or 90s. I'm not exactly sure, but I personally believe it was before the 90s. So it was still in the 80s. But she died of cancer, and my mother was saying how she was going to call my aunt. And I was like, wow. Because if you're trying to call someone who's been dead for many, many years, that's crazy. That's how bad my mother has become. But if you forget about that one for a second, like that side of it, and focus on their age, they're the age that my grandparents passed away. And so it was bad enough when our grandparents passed. Then that generation is lost. And then now my mother and her husband and their generation is coming to that same point in time when they are going to leave us. And that's bad too, but still it's not the worst. But what I'm saying is, when my sister is gone, my brother is gone, and when I'm gone, wow. The world, if you can imagine what it's going to be like, it's really something else. Because as I've told people on several occasions, the generational gap is supposed to be where your kids, you versus your kids. That's how it normally goes. But there's another factor in this too. And it has to do with what I refer to as zeitgeist, the spirit of the times. It affects everything too. And given that there was a change, and me myself, I don't have any doubts as to why that change has come. Because something happened in the 80s. And it was basically the introduction of greed, if you will. We stopped living in our hearts and we started living in our wallets because, the stock market boom that happened. The Cold War ended and positivity came again, but at the same time it came alongside greed. It came alongside with the desire in people to not be comfortable, but be more than comfortable, to get more than what they needed. We have a couple of those men in my country. They are so filthy rich that the only way that they can spend their money is start doing this sport which is known as offshore racing, where even just the engine for the boat is $1 million. And of course, I would do the same, because if you have that much money, that's the only way you're going to be able to have even a chance of spending all your money in your lifetime. But the other side of that, not only do they have this money, but on the other hand, there's also the fact that this money used to be backed by resources. It used to be backed by silver and gold and other things. Like in my country, it's also oil. We don't have gold and silver as much. I mean, we do have it, but gold and silver are not really our main things. Like we have three things that I would say is really the major finances come from, and number one is oil, and the second one is probably our fishing industry, the production and harvesting of fish, and processing and refinement of fish, and selling and exporting it to other countries and whatnot, or everything about that. And also aluminum. We're big on aluminum in our country. So that's one of the major companies in this country. It's called Hydro. And Hydro produces that as well as other metals for, global distribution. So, but what I'm saying is, there used to be a time when money was backed by actual resources. You can take that money and no one is in debt because of that. There's actually a real value behind that money. But now we're dealing with monopoly money, They're no longer backed by resources, and some people claim that this money, this real money, has been stolen. In other terms, the gold, silver, and in our case the oil mostly, has been stolen by the banks, and the money they print is held as collateral against you. So you're born into debt. Hence, as I was saying before, you are a slave. Make no mistake. We're only valuable to them in one sense. Only in one sense. And that's when, because I was doing this before, but I'm not in focus, so only in one sense. And that's when it's an election year. That's the only time we ever matter to them. Because then we can give them our votes. And even when we do, they take our vote, they run with it, they do whatever they want. They don't ask us anything, they don't inform us anything, they change the laws. They don't tell us anything. They just do whatever they want to do. And the only reason they're there is because they want to have that status, the money, and the position. And I saw one of the caseworkers here in the welfare office. And I remember, I'm not going to go into that whole thing about that per se, but because I remember how one person reacted to me saying it like I'm jealous or something. No, it's not about that. It's about what's correct and or appropriate. But she had been shopping, basically. And she had a very small kid. Like, I'd say 5 or 6 years old tops, if he was that much. And she had just bought him a PlayStation 4. For one, the games are not appropriate for a child that age. Secondly, I'm 43 years old and I only have a PS3. So it's not me mentioning that. It's not about jealousy, but I'm saying that's the difference between someone in such a menial place as the municipality offices. Because that office is basically a municipality office. It's an extension of that, but it's also an extension of the state. Because it's state money that they pay out. And this woman, she's living at least comfortably enough with that paper money, the monopoly money, that she can just go and do that. But the thing is, she don't even have a critical evaluation behind her purchase to that kid of hers. So, if that doesn't tell you where the world is heading, and again, that's why I'm saying what I'm saying, because she's younger than me. She has those few years, and I'll say it as plain as I can, not only because of what happened in the 80s with the whole money, greed, and the yuppie age, so to speak, and the Cold War ending and all of that, but like I said, it was also how my generation, if you will, me, my brother, and my sister, our generation, we were kids and teens in the 80s and 90s. You see what I'm saying? But these guys were born in that time. So it's like 10, maybe 15 years at the most between us. So they're like 30 now, 25 to 30. And once my generation is gone, they're the ones that are going to take over. And they have no fucking idea, no fucking clue. They don't even, like, you can sit down and it's so fucking easy. And that's why it bothers me, you know, because it's so fucking easy to sit down and think those things through. But they don't. They choose not to. They choose not to have a heart. They choose not to care about the greater good instead of their own comfortabilities, you know. As the Matrix says it in that scene, the problem is choice. Where do we go from here? Because if you ask me, once me and my generation is gone, woe to the world. And for those of you who don't know what and I hate when I have two V's or W's after another, but for those of you who don't know what a woe is, it's like a desperate cry in a time of need. That's a woe. Like when disaster is upon you, you cry out a woe for the world. Or whatever the situation, not necessarily the world, but you know, I'm saying, I think at least, in my view, woe to the world, because I've even seen what these guys' parents are like. A lot of them have nothing in between their skull, you know. And I've told the other story as an example of that before too, so I'm not going to go back to that story even, but you can believe what I'm saying or not, that's up to you. But I've seen the proof. And I see it every day. And so, if you ask me, that's the point I was getting at, is you ask me personally, I don't think this is going to end well for us. At least in terms of, you know, like the human perspective, the societal aspect, you know. It's not going to turn out all right. But what I've been trying to do is to let people know, because I can't save myself. I can't fix my life by telling you these things. But another example I'll give you, when I was talking to my neighbor last, we were talking about my situation versus him having a job. And I said, hold on to your job as long as you can and try to save some money along the way, because that's the only thing you can do if you want to be really independent. Get your own house, get yourself a car and a license, because just like me, he's 25 years old and he doesn't have a license and a car yet. But he has a job. And so I said to him, keep on to that job and you know, try to save some money along the way, because at least then you'll have a chance. But also, like I said to my mother's husband, he was complaining in a way how he wanted more points for his social security or whatever it's called, you know. And I said, but hey, look at it from the other side. Be glad you got out, because eventually, this is what I told him, eventually you are going to be replaced by a robot who can do the job but just be taught by a human being, and then perfecting it, repeating it, and continuously perfecting it, and then performing it flawlessly every time. And by the time we get there, you know, humans are no longer needed as a workforce. So if you see what I'm saying, read between the lines, then you know what's going to happen. So I said to him, be glad you got out, because you didn't get to see that in your time. And I'm not even working myself. So, but as I was saying to my neighbor, even if everything was perfect in my situation, health-wise and otherwise, maybe I wouldn't want to work, because the system is rigged. The game is rigged. And so no matter how much you make as a regular person, a regular member of the workforce, if you will, then what's going to happen is they're going to take 40%, at least 40% of your income. So how much is going to be left for you? I'm telling you, if you're part of the people with a capital P, don't expect to be getting anywhere. The only chance you have really in society as of now is if you make it on your own. You create something for yourself and you make good money on that. Not only good money, but you actually get rich. And I hate to say it, but we're not talking about spiritually, because all that money is not going to save you in that sense. But I'm saying to live a life where they have less say over you. If you own your own house, you own the land that it's sitting on, you own your own car, you have a license, you don't have to ask the government for help for even food and electricity and your house, then you're better off. But I'm saying in terms of making it to Etanim, that's a whole other question. Because the only way we have a chance to get there is if we help each other. And I'm not talking about financial. I'm talking about the little things that make a difference in a person's everyday life. So again, that's what I had to say, and like I said, I'm sure I could have gone on for one more of these half-hour bits, but like I said, I'm going to stitch it together after. But this is Beatnologic saying thank you for taking the time to listen, and this time I really encourage you to think about what I've said, and don't rush into your decision, because there is a decision to be made here that's inherent to this video. But think about it well and good, and give me some kind of feedback, because I really need to know what you want me to do, because it's not up to me anymore. That I've known a long time. Life has a life of its own, but you have a part to play as well. So thank you for taking the time to listen, and I hope you like it. If you do, click the like. If you don't, click the dislike. Whatever is fine. But make no mistake, this is my last stand, and our last stand, if you will. So I hope that you make the right choice, because this is it. And anyway, I'm going to stop now and let you go think about what I've said, and get back to me when you're good and ready. But I hope it's going to be in a positive way, because if it's negative, I don't want to even hear it. Because life is bad enough in itself as it is. And I don't need the extra, whatever you call it. I don't need it. But if you have something good to say, some good advice or positive feedback, then I'm all ears. So, thank you. And this is Beatnologic signing out, saying thank you for taking the time to listen and watch. And as I always say, peace everyone.